Vanity feels like too, I don't know, too strong of a word. I feel like I'm not quite hot enough to be vain. I think that's true.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, ready, go.
Welcome to the Called to Be Bad podcast. My name is Mariah Martin, and I feel called to be bad. It turns out I'm not the only one. Join us as we dig into all things bad, scandalous, deviant, you know, the stuff that makes good church folks squirm in the sanctuary. Why? Well, because sometimes the scandalous is spiritual, deviant is divine, and bad is beautiful. Say yes to the call, and let's see what holy trouble we get into today. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Mariah.
Welcome to the podcast. Everyone, this is Anna Yoder Schlabach, and I know Anna because we are both pastors in Goshen, Indiana, and she is pastor at Assembly Fellowship, and she went to school at Iliff School of Theology in Denver. She is married with 8-year-old twins. And she enjoys reading, planting flowers, and is an extreme extrovert. And those are her words, not mine. But we're also part of a women's pastor group with there's 6 of us. Yeah. And so we get together. And so when I asked Anna what her bad topic would be on my show, she talked about appearances. And so that's what we're going to do today. We often start with definitions to have some shared language. But actually first, I would love to know what you're drinking. I am just having my usual black coffee, and I have a white mug with the brown squirrel on it that says bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And I think my friend got it for me from Target. So that's my mug. What are you drinking, Anna?
Well, this is a mug from Justin and Brooke Rothshank, and it says compromise on it. I don't know, I'm not great at compromise actually, so it is a good mug for me.
Hello, beloved baddies. A quick break to tell you that this episode is sponsored by the Center for Art, Humor, and Soul, a nonprofit that supports and amplifies the voices of edgewalkers through art that catalyzes change, laughter that brings us together, and soul awakening to the creative spark within us. The support from the Center for Art, Humor, and Soul has meant the world to this podcast. So I highly encourage you to check out their website, arthumorandsoul.com, to see their other featured artists and projects. If you want to support the podcast, you can check out our Patreon or get in touch. Now I'll let you get back to this episode of Called to Be Bad. So how would you define appearance, and how would you distinguish this word from ideas like vanity or self-image? And how are they connected?
So initially we had talked about aesthetics, and I was like, this isn't quite aesthetics because I wouldn't say I have my own aesthetic exactly. We have some friends who are very tasteful, a very beautiful home, a very particular mid-century modern aesthetic. I don't have that, but I care a lot about how I look. I care quite a bit about how spaces look. So when I'm planning a worship service, I think about how the table looks, what the banner is up front, and I think about what is my outfit in relation to what's going on up front. So it's like putting on a costume in some ways, for the job, it's an outfit for the job. This is the only blazer that I have, but I love it because with Lent and Advent being 2 purple liturgical seasons, this blazer comes out all the time. So yeah, I think about things like appearances for myself, and I notice other people's appearances. I think sometimes, sometimes in a judgy way, but I also notice when my colleagues get haircuts. I pay attention to things that are external.
Yeah, sure. And how do you feel about the terms vanity?
Well, vanity feels too, I don't know, too strong of a word. I feel like I'm not quite hot enough to be vain. I think that's true. So I grew up, my mom's a pastor. She was a pastor. I'm now pastoring where she pastored at Assembly. And my mom, I think she cared about how she looked. She also had matching dresses that corresponded with liturgical seasons. But they were all from Land's End and LLB, and they were kind of homely. And so I think I grew up with this idea that her dresses were never above above the knee. They were never above the knee. Like they were long dresses. And I think even one time, like she had 2 dangly of earrings and someone was like, those are distracting during a sermon. So I am aware that women pastors in particular get more crap about what they look like. And I don't like that.
Right.
I don't like it at all. I am also a woman pastor who cares quite a bit about what I look like, and not all women pastors do. So it doesn't give people permission to comment on my body and what I'm wearing. But I do care about it, and I do put in the effort. And it's a mix. There was a pastor that I had, and on her evaluation, like on her like pastoral evaluation, it was like, we love her kicking boots and her shiny hair. And she did have kicking boots and she did have shiny hair, but I thought that does not belong on a pastoral evaluation. I think someone was trying to be flattering, and I thought, no, that's not the place for that. So
right.
I think there is a mix within me of saying, no, I want to be valued for my contributions to the congregation. What kind of a pastor am I? How am I loving the people in my congregation? And also, like, I put some effort into my outfits and my appearance.
Yeah,
So
you want to look good while caring for people while doing
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I think that external work is always a starting place for me. That, like, when I get myself together, when I put on my pastor shoes, when I put on my pastor cardigan, that helps me inhabit the role differently than if I'm just wearing sweatpants.
Sure. Appearance is an embodied practice. Like when you're putting on makeup, you're touching your body, you're touching your skin. I mean, some people don't, but I just, rub my face. All the skincare gurus are like cringing. Not that a skincare guru is going to be watching this podcast.
Is that your target demographic?
There? Yeah, exactly. Anyways, I totally lost what I was going with that. Oh,
it doesn't matter. It's a way of caring for your body, touching yourself, these embodied rituals.
Yeah, it's all part of worship almost, and I love that. It's not just like, I mean, it is like I want to look nice in front of people, but like you said, it is like stepping into this role of like I am entering into worship. Worship starts in the bathroom, when I'm getting ready.
That's a nice way to put it, Mariah. I like that.
Yeah. Worship starts in the bathroom. Tagline.
Yeah, write that book or something.
Yeah. So what do you think are some of the barriers that come along with caring about image within ministry? We've talked about some of the more positive things, but what are the barriers that might come along?
Yeah, so I'm a 3 on the Enneagram. And so one of the things that I feel like I'm always working with is authenticity. And am I projecting this vision of myself as like good Pastor Anna? And does that like match what's actually inside? And ideally, the longer I do this, the more the external desire to be a good pastor matches the internal becoming a good pastor. Mm-hmm. But I think that doesn't just happen automatically by putting on like a blazer. I think it takes time to live into that. And there's something about being polished or perfect that I don't think is invitational at all. I think if you are in front of people and they see someone who has it all together, I don't think you want a pastor that's falling apart. But I think also I am more drawn to people who clearly don't have it all together. I think, yeah, those cracks are like where everybody connects with each other. Everybody's cracks provide a place to say like, oh, you're a little broken. I'm a little bit broken. We're broken in different ways, but yeah, nobody's polished and perfect. And if people are, then they're pretending.
Right.
So even that sometimes I get in my head of like, okay, I want to be polished and prepared, but like not so polished and prepared that I'm like inaccessible or right. that it's a lie. And obviously children help with that. Like my son Caleb does not like going to church. Before the pandemic, he ran out of the sanctuary one time. Like he doesn't want to be there. And so any version of me that involves like the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect pastor, yeah, all of that is bullshit. If you look at my family for more than 15 minutes, someone's gonna fall apart.
Yeah, I have thought about that a lot because I don't generally wear makeup. I'm wearing makeup now. I wear makeup on Sunday mornings, and I've thought about what message that brings. There was someone that said to me like, "Oh, there was one Sunday that I walked in and someone was like, "Oh my goodness, you are glowing." And I was like, "Yes, it's called highlight." I mean, I didn't say that, but it was like in the beginning. And I was like, "Yes, let me introduce you to a concept called highlight."
Yeah, you really do that though, Mariah.
Do what? Have highlight on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
Like
glow.
contouring. I don't know how to do that. See, you should teach me how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you just buy a thing called highlight and you put it on your cheekbones. It's just great. I love it.
All right.
Yeah, and then someone else was like, "Mariah, your skin is like porcelain." And I was like, "Well, that's not actually true. It's foundation." And, and I said that. And so I don't want to put on a show. I don't want to be inauthentic. I'm a 4 on the Enneagram, cares a lot about authenticity. And so I don't want to be inauthentic, but I do want to feel nice and polished and not like my gremlin self. Not that there's anything wrong with that self, but that's me most of the time.
No, Mariah, I will tell you, like when I've seen you on Facebook doing your Facebook sermons, I was like, oh, Mariah is so pretty. Like always when you come to like lady pastor times, you're like, got your hair thrown up and like not makeup. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely a disconnect like in your brain and body between those two modes. And I mean, I guess just being honest about them, is the best way to say, this is not me all of the time. This is me with this face on.
Your porcelain face. So
my
beautiful.
porcelain face. My porcelain what was the word? Glowing face.
I know. Next time bring your highlights to lady pastor times. Like
okay.
I'll give it them. Yeah.
So do you have any resources to share other than like, makeup tips or to share on like appearance or self-image or anything like that? I don't know what that would be necessarily other than like my brand of highlight.
Yeah, no, that's what I want totally. Yeah. No, my spiritual director, so sometimes I feel like a little bit shallow. I mean, there are people in my church and their spiritual life looks different than mine, obviously. But again, I think this question of like, as a pastor, should I like have these spiritual depths? This like, I don't know, amazing like spiritual life where I'm like so spiritually grounded and stuff and like do embodied practices where I like meet the divine daily. But my spiritual director said that like flourishing can happen in the depths as well as the shallows. And I was like, I lived in Oregon for a year and there were like tide pools that had like so much like amazing starfish and like amazing things growing in them. They were like so colorful. And so every time I start to feel like, I'm just skimming the surface here, I think like, no, flourishing can happen here in the shallows. And everyone's spiritual path looks different. And those starfish were amazing in the shallow tide pools. And I think I have capacity for being present with people. And like, I'm still growing into this. So I don't want to be like, I'm the shallowest pastor there is. Because I'm working at that. And I would also say like my spiritual life looks different than other people's who are like living in the deepest depths of spiritual, what have you.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And I think that, I mean, I have not talked to every pastor in the world or
not yet.
That's not yet. I'm not getting there. And I think that the pressure is especially there for female presenting pastors. And I've not talked to all of them, but I think that most people who are up in front of a crowd are going to care somewhat how they look. And just being honest about that, I think is really helpful. I don't think that it makes you shallow. It makes us shallow. I think it's just honest. I mean, we live in a world that tells women that their worth is in how they look. And then all of a sudden we're just supposed to like immediately reject that forever and ever. Or can we like reclaim that somehow? I've been really interested in learning differences between like the male gaze and the female gaze in film, which does operate on the gender binary, but often like with male directors, there is that very real male gaze that is often more objectifying. And the female gaze, it's being countered by beauty as art and connection. And I think it's really lovely. So like the prime example is in Pride and Prejudice when Mr. Darcy touches her hand, and then he like stretches out his hand because like it's like almost like her touch like shocked him. And like so much of the female gaze is in hands because hands represent touch and connection, and it's like this like phantom touch of like, oh, what would it be like if he touched me? But my whole point here is that I think that it is okay to care how we look, and it doesn't have to be shallow. And also we can recognize that there are more ways than one to be pretty, to be beautiful, that beauty is art and subjective and also comes through connection. So all of this was trying to say, I don't think it's shallow to care about how you look. I think it is a very natural product of living in the society that we do. And also I think that there can be a lot of gift there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing I want to respond to there, like so when I was a high schooler, I like every wall of my bedroom was covered with images. And like a lot of like Vogue magazine ads, like every Ralph Lauren romance ad that is out there, like just a black and white couple kissing somewhere romantic, like every ad I had. A lot of like alcohol ads, so like sexy women drinking martinis. And yeah, the walls were covered. And it's only like more recently that I've begun to think about what was I feeding myself? Like what was I like feeding myself with as a high schooler about images of romance and being a woman and sexuality and beauty. And so yeah, it's only now that I think a little bit like, ooh, that was not the most balanced diet of images to feed myself, and that those images got in there about what beauty is and what relationships look like, what romance looks like, what alcohol consumption makes you look amazing, and that was manufactured. That like I chose that. Like I did advertisers a favor by putting them on my walls and like looking at them every day. So I'm just aware that I'm still like carrying that I'm still the product of all the things that I put on my wall as a kid. And I like what I look like now. I like what my family looks like. I like the life that I've like been able to create for myself. And sometimes I question, like, is it the life I actually wanted, or is it the life that I was told that I wanted and I bought into it? And now my standards of beauty and my standards of whatever are a creation that wasn't me. Right. So it's this mix of like listening to that divine voice within, of like, Anna, this is what I have for you. Like, I have a life for you. And also like, was it manufactured?
Right. And so much of those images, I think that we are doing a bit better now, as far as like representation, but so many of those images, I'm sure, were whitewashed and, you know, thin and very heavily a Western notion of what is beautiful, what is attractive.
Yes.
And so, yeah, representation matters. I had like the Olsen twins on my wall. I had I was really obsessed with Rachel on Friends. Why can't I think of Jennifer Aniston?
Jennifer Aniston, yes.
Really obsessed with her. I went to get my hair cut and I wanted my hair cut like her. Yes. So yeah, my walls were plastered.
No, I was exactly the same, Mariah. I asked for a Jennifer Aniston haircut every time.
Yeah.
And I never got it because I had wavy hair and I didn't have a straightener and I like didn't know how to do it. No one ever told me about straighteners until like college.
Yeah, I straightened the crap out of my hair every single day. Embracing the curl has been a new thing. Shout out to the curly girl method. But yeah, oh man, I did so much damage to my hair to try to look like Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also had like a lot of white boys on my wall, like Zac Efron, Channing Tatum. And like, I don't even know if that's actually what I was attracted to. I did have a big Harry Potter poster on the back of my door. Embarrassingly, like before I had ever kissed anybody. That's how I would practice my kissing. I would kiss Harry Potter on the back of my door. Okay, I guess I just told that story.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I
But,
had Heath Ledger from
oh,
what's that night movie? A Knight's Tale, First Night. I don't know.
oh.
He's a knight in it. He's smoking hot, obviously.
Oh, R.I.P. Heath Ledger.
I know.
But yeah, these images, I mean, like, we woke up every day and we looked at our walls, and like, sure, I had like animals and like cute things on them too, but like, I also wanted to look like the Olsen twins, and I don't know, what did that do to us?
Yeah, I think that's a real question. And now, like with a son and a daughter,
Mm.
they're not putting stuff on their walls yet. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll say anything differently than what my parents said, which my parents were kind of like, I've like asked my mom since then. I'm like, were you worried? Like, did you have concerns? Like, it was a lot of like Bacardi ads, and mom was like, of course we were worried. You like plastered your walls with alcohol ads. Like, I wasn't drinking at all in high school. Like, I did not drink at all in high school, and yet the lure of like what those things meant was always there.
Oh yeah. And like the images we saw, and again, very whitewashed, like rom-coms. Like that was my idea of what love could look like, what romance is, what I should look like. I remember the first time that I ever became aware of the fact that I was like supposed to like change how I looked to appeal to men. Like that had not been a concept before. I didn't think about like, oh, I should look nice for guys. It was in middle school. I'll never forget this. I was wearing, I guess, a pair of jeans. I had no idea what they looked like, but my friend told me, she's like, Mariah, if you want your butt to look good, you need to wear lower cut jeans. And I was like, oh, like I had no idea that I was supposed to make my body look a certain way for guys up until that point. And then after that, like everything changed. Like my perception of what my body looked like, how I dressed changed because I was viewing it through the lens of like my crushes and like
Yeah.
how they might perceive me. And I've ever since, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be perceived. I just want to exist in my body. And then I remember the same friend, like I had my hair, because then I started caring about what I looked. And so I had like this black shirt. I thought I looked super cute. And I had my hair in a really, really tight ponytail. Like I would wet a comb and like, so that it was perfectly smoothed back. And I came to school thinking I was looking all cute. And then this friend ripped out my ponytail because she thought it looked bad. Middle school.
It's a rough time. I remember one day in middle school, again, like this wanting to be desired and wanting to be cute. And I had these heels that I got from my cousin's wedding in California. So like they were like thick, clunky heels. And then I had like a pair of soccer shorts that were like a little bit short. And I like rolled them up to be even shorter. And then I had this like tie-dye shirt that I had made at camp like several years ago before that. And so it was like too small. So this tight little tie-dye shirt, these little tiny soccer shorts, and then these like clunky wedges. And my mom was like, no, like you cannot go to school like that. And like, that's a disaster of an outfit, like aside from trying to be sexy. But it was this idea of like, what is sexy? It is tiny shorts, tight tops, and high heels. And yeah, that got in there. I got it wrong, but it was definitely in there.
But you were feeling yourself. I mean, I'm not a parent. I don't know. I think I will hopefully care less about like I don't know. I just remember being really hurt if I was ever told that my outfit was inappropriate because I was trying to look nice. Like I didn't really have a concept of like sexy. But I was just trying to look cute. And I hope that I care more about like weather appropriate, like will you please if you go outside, rather than like is this like school appropriate or like too sexy. I mean, like I don't want my kids to be sexualized, so like how do you balance that? I mean, maybe we're veering off course, but like yeah, I don't know. How do you balance like being like feminist and like appropriate and also not wanting your kids to, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the right question. Like Sophie is 8.5 and like not there yet of like trying to like look sexy. But I was trying to look sexy as much as I knew how.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember my mom like saying like you have a different body type than your sister, and so like outfits that like tank tops that your sister would wear, like I don't want you to wear those because like your body is different. And I was just like, how dare you? How
Yeah.
dare you? Yeah, I just like wanted to be hot.
Yeah. Just existing in your body, in a female presenting body, you get punished for it, no matter what you wear or don't wear, or, if you're considered like a prude or slutty, you're punished for it. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Well, I got worked up there about that. Do you have any other stories of where like your heart for appearance or looking nice comes from? Did you like steal your mom's makeup and put it on, or like any of those things?
No, Mariah, my mom did not wear makeup.
She
She
was
did
one of
not wear
those,
makeup.
well, one of those Mennonites.
Yeah. Yeah. And my older sister did not wear makeup, so she could not help me in the ways of makeup. And I, like growing up, I had these giant bushy eyebrows. Like they're not that bushy anymore because I have learned how to like pluck and maintain them more. But they were really bushy. And like I didn't know what to do with them. And I like so desperately wanted to be pretty. And like no one could help me be pretty. And I think it came out of my mom's like sincere desire to like raise we have three girls in my family. I'm in the middle, like raise women of content, women of character. But I wanted to be pretty. Like I just wanted her to say, like, Anna, you look pretty. And she didn't say it that much. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I didn't know how to use makeup until I was like midway through high school. I didn't know how to do my eyebrows till midway through high school. And then my younger sister, Rachel, her senior year, she participated in a beauty pageant and won first place in the local level. And so she did learn how to use makeup, and she has since like helped me also. She did my eyebrows the other day when I was over at her house. So yeah, Rachel and I are like more care about appearance than my mom or my older sister.
Mhm.
And I've always loved dressing up. We did so much dressing up play when I was a
Yeah.
kid, and I did a lot of theater in high school. That was the other time I got to wear makeup, was like in a play. And so like I would like not wash my face like after a performance because it was like so exciting having
Oh.
makeup on.
I have this picture of when I was little, like 5 to 7, and my mom decided to like doll me up. She like curled my hair and put makeup on, and I had like a boa wrapped around me. I looked like one of those little kids who was in those like the
Little toddlers and tiaras.
yes, that
Yeah.
that is what I looked like. Shoot, I wish
Oh,
I could go show you the picture.
yeah.
But I hated every second of it. I like hated, oh man, I just hated being fussed with. Um, but and I always kind of, I mean, appearance is can be kind of tied to like gender expression. And like when I was little, I hated like looking girly. Like that was like not my thing. Like I wanted to be like a tomboy. But then like I also grew out of that, and then I super liked being girly. So I like went in all of these phases. But to your point of like not feeling pretty, I remember, I don't know if you've read the Laura Ingalls Wilder books,
Yeah, of
Little
course.
House on the Prairie. And Laura always compared herself to Mary, and Mary was always the pretty one with blonde hair and blue eyes, and she felt like she was so ugly. And I was like, I'm Mary, or no, I'm Laura, and my sister is Mary. Like I always felt like very much like my sister was the pretty one. So I can totally identify with this, like, not necessarily like sibling rivalry, but just like the comparison of like of others.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, and especially with three girls, I think some of that is inevitable. For a long time, we were like, Rachel's the pretty one, I'm the funny one, Katie's the smart one. But we're all decently like pretty smart and funny. I am the funniest. That's definitely true.
Yeah. Yeah. What advice might you give to particularly women in ministry who are going to be standing up in front of people every Sunday?
I don't know what advice I have. Like people in my congregation know that I like to dress up.
Mm.
Um, And like someone asked me on Easter morning, like, are those new Easter morning shoes? And I was like, they're old shoes, but this is the first time I've worn them here. And this is a new dress from the depot. Thank you for asking. So yeah, I think it's worth figuring out, like, for yourself, what are you comfortable with? Do those comments about your appearance like make you uncomfortable and feel undervalued, that like you really are only about your appearance, or are they part of the package? And I think for me they're part of the package. Yeah, I like getting dressed up. Again, it feels like, with my background in theater, preparing for worship is setting the literal stage. It's like putting on my outfit. And so if no one says anything, I feel a little bit like, hey, I always ask Brian, like, how did I look? And also like the content of what I said, but I want someone to notice. But that is not every female pastor. So like, if anyone out there is listening and they think like, I'm giving permission for you to comment on your female pastor's body, no, don't do it.
I guess one piece of advice that I thought of in preparation of asking you this question is just do little things, like make sure your shirt is not on backwards, which happened to me one time. Like I don't know. Oh, no. It wasn't backwards. It was inside out. So like people could see the tag in the back. And like someone came up to me before I went up front and said, hey, just so you know, your shirt's on inside out. And this was at Waterford Mennonite Church during an internship. And Waterford is a big church. And big for Mennonite church standards, I guess, in this area. And so I like ran to the bathroom and like switched it all around, and they like teased Nick. We were dating at the time, and they were like, that's your job, is to make sure that she doesn't have things in her teeth, to make sure her shirt isn't on inside out or backwards or anything. So that's one thing that you could do. Is
that
just
is good advice. That is good advice. Make sure you're wearing your clothes properly.
Yeah.
I do always like, if I'm going to be down on the ground doing children's time, I always wear pants. Like, I love to wear dresses for worship. And if I'm going to be up and down, I always wear pants, because I don't want to worry about it. I don't want other people to worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. For sure.
But I do love to wear dresses. And I like to wear a small heel. Yeah, when I first started pastoring, I went to Woldruff's and bought a pair of like sensible black pumps, because I was like, these are my pastor shoes and I can walk in them well. I feel like powerful and like with authority when I wear them. Same with this blazer.
Yeah, feel confident. That can make a huge difference. I love how like sensible black heels is like a genre of shoe. Like I feel like sensible black heels, like trademark, like that is like a thing.
Yeah, and they go with a lot of outfits. So
yeah. So finally, how would you respond if someone told you that caring about image or aesthetics made you a bad pastor?
Well, again, I would say that flourishing can happen in the shallows as well as the depths. So don't worry about it. Yeah, I think it's part of the package of what you get with me. And I think that will probably change over time. My mom was pastoring a little bit later in life. There may be a time when I go the like LL Bean route and do like shapeless black dresses. I don't think so. But that it is my body, and it's about how I choose to dress it, and in some ways loving, like modeling, like liking my own body and wanting to dress up my own body for church. I think that's a good thing. And I'm not trying to be sexy. I'm not trying to. Yeah, I think there are problems with pastors who use their sexuality to like draw people in. Male pastors, I think of like male evangelical pastors, like in that way. That's a stereotype. Sorry if any of your listeners are male evangelical pastors. They're not all bad, I'm sure. But I want to be attractive, and I don't want to be so attractive that like people are distracted, or that that's part of my appeal. I don't know. I guess it is complicated.
Yeah.
I just want to be pretty, you guys, but also
moral of the story.
And I want to be a good pastor, and I'm working at becoming that.
Of course. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I understand what you mean. And yeah, the whole distraction thing I think can be really frustrating. Like I think it's less the pastor's job to try and be not distracting and more of the people listening. It's their job to like focus on the actual content. I mean, it's not that hard to be like, oh, she's wearing sparkly earrings. Well, I guess I'm speaking not about like neurodivergent brains. Um, but I'm speaking about like neurotypical brains. Like you can say like, oh, sparkly earrings, and also like she's talking about, I don't know, insert some sermon thing here. Just like pay attention to the content, and you can compliment her on her earrings later. But yeah. Well, thank you for having this conversation. It's fun to talk about image. I think it's a really needed, like we need to be honest about, what we care about. And I think that is good and okay. And so normally at the end of the podcast, we end with a blessing. So would it be okay, Anna, if I bless you and all our bad viewers and listeners?
Yes, please.
Great. Anna and all of the bad viewers and listeners, may you go this week knowing that while appearances may matter, what is inside matters also. And you are beautiful inside and out. You are valued for your looks and also for everything else. And you are good and you are held and you are whole. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, Mariah. This was so fun.
Yeah. We'll see everybody next time.
Okay. Bye.
That's all for this episode of Called to Be Bad. Keep being your bad, beautiful selves, and I will see you next time.